Welcome back to the Lockwood Chronicles. My name is Larissa and today we are going to be doing my December wrap-up. December was a good reading month. I read 7 books, which is fantastic. There was only one Christmas themed or holiday themed book that I read, because the other few that I had reserved at my library never came to fruition. They were checked out, so we may be reading them later on. Christmas in July, maybe. So the first book that I ended up reading was Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. It's a non-fiction book by Tom Felton himself. He played Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, and if you didn't know, I love Harry Potter. It went kind of over throughout his childhood up until more recently and the trials and tribulations that he went through as a child actor and a child star and the public's perception of him, as well as other castmates, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson. And also just how influential being on the Harry Potter set was in his life and his acting career in so many different things, and how lost he kind of felt afterwards. He struggled with alcoholism. He went into rehab a couple times, and how difficult it was for him to proceed to get acting jobs because he never really thought of himself as wanting to become an actor. And also just how important his family and his friendships that he's maintained throughout the years have been and influenced him in his life. I highly recommend for those that are fans of the Harry Potter world. And also there's some pictures in here and it was just so cute. It was just so fun. Nice reflecting time. And I was also rewatching the Harry Potter series when I was reading this, so it was kind of fun to see what his thought process was throughout those years. The next book that I read was this month's, or December's, book club pick of the month from my book club that I host by myself on here. And that was City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I was very, very happily, pleasantly surprised by this. It definitely could have been edited down. This is a lot of stuff. Like, it could have gone through a few more editing processes to narrow it down, because this was chunky. However, I did enjoy so much of it. It's a historical fiction set in New York City, and it's a very coming of age story through Vivian and her sexual liberation, and how important that is for being an independent woman that necessarily doesn't want to follow the stereotypical path of marriage and children. Experiencing that through the 1930s, 40s, 50s, whatever it was, all the way up until the 2000s, and seeing how favorable everything has changed more in the benefit of women being able to be their own providers instead of having to rely on their husband. Vivian Morris's story and just the influential women in her life that helped her become the woman that she was. And also the man who was very, very important to her and who she loved the most. If you haven't read it, go read it. And then you can also watch the non-spoiler reading vlog as well as the book club episode, which has spoilers. The next book up is Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade. So this is a fantasy. It's part of a series. I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. If I do, it'll be via audiobook because I just did not care enough to read this. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't my favorite. It is also very loosely based off of Greek mythology, like the gods and goddesses and everything. And it frustrated me because she made, I don't know if there's a different mythology where these gods have those names, but it was so similar to Greek mythology that I just kept, like, every time it was a different name for a god, I was like, that should be this Greek god. Anyway, I don't know why she just didn't keep it with that. It's about Aslo. He is a forester, which is a very high up position in the sense that, like, they're very recluse. They take care of the forest. They like to be by themselves, very introverted people, and they take care of the trees because there was such a shortage a long time ago and everybody cut the trees down. So in that aspect, we loved it. I loved Aslo. very much gave Witcher vibes, like Geralt vibes, like kind of grumpy, very standoffish, likes to keep to himself kind of vibe. So anytime I was picturing Aslo, I was picturing Geralt of Riviera. Anyway, Aslo's best friend Matthias has a prophecy about him, how he's going to save the world. Problem is, Matthias dies. And Aslo decides to carry it out, or do what he can to carry it out, and it's about his adventures along the way, the people that he meets, just the situations that he gets in. It was fine. Wasn't my favorite. If I can find the second book's audiobook for free, like via library or something, I will definitely listen to it, because I do kind of want to see what happens, but at the same time I'm okay if I don't finish the series. But I really love the cover. The next book I read was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I did not realize how much I would love this book. First of all, I've heard very mixed reviews about this. Some people say they like it, some people are super annoyed by our main character, Persephone. It is a Hades and Persephone retelling, except it's happening in more of the modern day. So same mythology, same Greek gods and characters and all of that establishes Greek mythology, but it's set in more of a modern day environment, which is a fun little twist to it. Hades is still god of the underworld, but he has a lot of nightclubs, so think kind of Lucifer, the show. And then Persephone is a journalist. She's finishing up her last year of school, or last term of school, and she wants to be a journalist and gets into that. Hades and Persephone's story is my favorite Greek mythological retelling, and Persephone is the goddess of spring. However, the twist is that she can't grow anything. The only thing that she can do is kill things. And her mother is the goddess Demeter, and Demeter is very much like growth, bountiful, and fertility and all of that stuff. Her mother can grow anything, anywhere, anytime, and Persephone kills everything. Every plant that she touches. A lot of fate intertwined. It's definitely open door romance. So if that's not your thing, I would proceed with caution with this. Also, the miscommunication trope is huge in this. It's very frustrating, and Persephone, she wasn't as annoying as others made her out to be, that like to the extent that I thought she was going to be, but she definitely had some annoying things along with like the miscommunication and just misunderstandings. There was a lot of overreaction in a lot of situations, but it made for a good story, and I'm very excited to continue on with the series as well as different branches off with this series. I really did enjoy this, and I just love Hades. Next up, I read a couple on my Kindle. So the first one I read was Isn't It Bromantic? It is the fourth book in the Bromance Book Club series, and that's a book series that focuses on men being in a book club that reads romance to better themselves and their relationships. And I think every man should be in a bromance book club. It would be so great if they were. And this is Vlad and Elena. I said Elena. This is Vlad and Elena's story. Vlad is a professional hockey player and Elena is a journalist. So another journalist, so fun. And the tropes in this one are marriage of convenience, childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, and it's open door from what I recall. Vlad is one of my favorite characters. He's so cute. He's just the gentle giant of the group. Can look very brusque, but things make him cry so easily, and he's very open with his emotions and always has been, and I've loved his character from the other books, and I'm so happy that he finally got his own. Was it the best? Not my favorite one, but I also like he has IBS and me and him buds. I really loved like his character, and the bros are just so cute. Any interactions that they have, I highly enjoyed this book. I love this series so much. The next book that I read on my Kindle is Another Christmas from Hell. It is part of the Neighbor from Hell series by R.L. Matthewson. She is an independent author on Amazon, and I love this series. It is very much cut, copy, paste, different couple. Like, it's very Hallmark in that aspect. But I love it. It is definitely one of my guilty pleasures. It's not supposed to be super heavy, super in-depth, like fantastic writing, and she's even said that it's just for enjoyment purposes only, and I enjoy the hell out of this series so much. It is about a family. These men are cursed to fall in love with their neighbors, and this is Bryce and Kaylee's story, and it's a childhood enemies to lovers. Also, the Neighbors from Hell series means it's a close proximity story, or like it's a close proximity trope, and I love it. I love it. Close proximity, forced proximity, whatever you want to call it. And it is open door. So these, I love the spice. I love the spice in this series. It's so fun. So if you just want to have a bingeable, quick, feel good story series, this is the one. It's one of my favorites. And then the last book that I read for December in this year, because it's poetic, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I have been holding off until December to read this because I wanted to read it around New Year's, because the end of the year, so that I could start the year with It Starts With Us. I finished this last night, so on New Year's Eve, and I sobbed so hard. The last chapter, like before the epilogue, oh my gosh, wrenched my heart so much. So this goes through Lily's story. Lily grew up in a domestic abuse household. Lily's father very much physically abused Lily's mother, and Atlas is a kid that was homeless at the time, that was living in an abandoned house next to Lily's house. They had an unlikely friendship, and through that became love and all of that jazz. And then something happened, and you know, they were torn apart, and Lily meets Ryle in Boston. It goes through their relationship. It is very much a domestic abuse story, going through the process of breaking that cycle. It's a really heavy read. Colleen Hoover's note at the end really dives into her personal experience with this, as well as not saying that this is the standard for all domestic abuse situations. So every situation, every couple is different. Also, Ellen DeGeneres is very much present in this. This was written in 2016 before everything opened up with that. But it would have been like a cute twist back when it was originally written. This is also about really strong friendships, and I cannot express how much I love Alyssa in this book. She is, I'm like getting chills and kind of teary thinking about it. She is the best human, the best friend Lily could ever hope to have in her life, and just her acceptance and support through everything. Alyssa, man, ride or die right there. It's also a lot of second chance romance in here too. Proceed with caution. Check the trigger warnings for this. One of my favorite reads. I did not think I would like it as much as I did, but that ending really hit hard. These were the 7 books that I read in the month of December, 6 physically, but thank you so much for being along for the journey, and I'm just so excited to continue in 2023 with all of my reading goals and plans, which you will be able to see in the next video after this one. That will be my 2022 wrap up and my 2023 goals and what I'm looking forward to. So feel free to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that video, as well as like this video if you like my monthly wrap-ups. That would be great. I'm so excited to be here and to be reading and just having a blast doing what I love. That's gonna do it for us here on the Lockwood Chronicles. Remember to respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye.